Write what excites you. I love that word, excite. It's powerful. It has motion. It speaks to something inside of us. You know, it bubbles. If you don't write what excites you, you're probably not going to write, or you're not going to finish. This is, again, key to writing and continuing and publishing and finishing. It goes back to the chart that I showed you. It goes back to the word passion. If you have a passion for something, you're more than likely going to write it and finish it. So choose something that has meaning to you. The war in Afghanistan is important to you. Women's rights, art, the understanding of art, anything like that. Dogs and how they're treated. If you write about something that is important to you, and I don't mean writing polemic necessarily, but choosing the topic that is important to you, that sings in your heart, and it could be about anything, you're more than likely going to finish it. Along with that, writing what excites you, I throw another line in, and it's this: write what you know. Now, does that kind of make sense? Probably not. Write what you know. Well, that sounds like, well, just write about what you know, right? It's all mundane stuff. What you know is your ordinary world. And aren't we writing to get away from that? Aren't people reading to get away from that? I submit that's not exactly what we mean, what people mean when they say write what you know. It's not. What you know inside you is what you know universally, is what you share universally. Now let me just read something that I've got in here about what you know. In the 19th century, John Keats wrote to a nightingale, an urn, a season, simple, everyday things that he knew. Walt Whitman described the stars, a live oak, a field. They began with what they knew, what was at hand, what shimmered around them in the ordinary world. And they brought it to the special world, your special world inside of you. The advice, write what you know, isn't about literal truths. It's about what you know inside. As SF author Marg Gilt said, you know more than you think. And this is key. More than you think. It's not about thinking per se, it's about feeling and what comes in, what comes out from inside. So, and again, it links up with what excites you, what is important. And you know what these things are. That brings us to, I'm still talking about writing what excites you. Brings us to ideas. I'm sure everybody has lots of ideas on things to write. I mean, I know you write prolifically over there. And ideas are abound. Just before I came here, I went to Rogers and got my cell phone changed because I just moved out here. And I told him I was a writer. Oh, I said I was an author. And the fellow asked me, he said, I always wanted to know, how do you get your ideas? And then he went on and said, I want to write a book someday, and blah, blah, blah. They always say that kind of stuff, right? But I think what he was asking was not so much how do I get my ideas, because he was getting all kinds of ideas too. What he really meant was, what do you do with them? How do you handle your ideas? And basically get them on paper and then get something out of that. And that is a tough one. I don't know if you had this experience, and I'll get an idea. I get lots of ideas. I'm driving in the car or something, and I got this coolest idea. And the problem with it is, it's so important to me, that's all I can think about, and I don't want to lose it, right? So there I am driving. It's almost like having to go to the bathroom, right? That's the only thing you can think about. The best way to handle that, I find, is you just have a notebook with you all the time, right? I have notebooks abound. I have, you know, all kinds of notebooks. Here's a day timer, which I don't use. I don't know how to use day timers, but some people do. You can use those BlackBerry thingies, whatever. You have a little mini laptop that you carry with you. That's what I actually do as well. And then I can get my idea down, and then I clear my brain, literally, and then I can move on. But I've got my idea down. I've got it when it's, you know, when it came to me, as opposed to waiting and waiting and waiting and then forgetting it. The only thing is, of course, I have so many notebooks, I lose them. And I can't figure out what I've done. But then I can find them and I can manage them, and I put these little clippy things in, and I know where my ideas are, so I can file them after. The point being, find what works for you in terms of managing your ideas for later on, and they become little kernels, gems of something that you can then use later. The other part of that is doing research on those ideas. When you do the research on them, whether it's Google or you go to the library, that can also spark more things going on. And then next thing you know, you've got a story, a motivated story, because in fact, ideas are just that, they're ideas. They can become anecdotal. To make it into a story, you have to add elements of storytelling to the idea. The idea is like the premise, you know, what if, and then you take that and you add, oh, you know, is it more important that it's this type of character that gets affected by that? And then next thing you know, you have an actual story.
Are you a writer looking to get published? Then visit thepassionatewriter.com and purchase The Fiction Writer. Get published right now. It's a guide that provides the basic tools that every beginning writer needs to get published. It's packed with real examples and practical exercises. This is your shortcut to getting published. Author Nina Munteanu is lively and humorous and makes learning fun. Give your book the chance it deserves to get published. Visit thepassionatewriter.com now to learn more.